Previously on Mini Shiitake.
Name that kanji!
Last week, Jay tested my kanji skills in our parody game show.
Okay, the first kanji.
River.
Yes, that's correct. It's river.
The first few characters were pretty easy, but some of them were kind of tricky.
Come on, you know it.
Dog.
All right, that's correct.
Hey.
And our last but not the least kanji. What is this?
Oh. Tamago. Egg.
Oh my God! So we got a winner over here. Congratulations, Mr. Panda.
But overall, I think I did pretty well.
You got perfect, 7 points. Our next show we have Mini Shiitake.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Mini Shiitake. I am Flo from Vancouver, Canada, and as always, I am joined by Jay from Sapporo, Japan. Hello, Jay.
Hello.
What's going on?
I don't know why I did that, but maybe I'm becoming Japanese, so
Who knows, maybe. All right, so what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about learning Japanese. Why did I do that?
Learning Japanese. So we're going to talk about how to learn Japanese in Japan and kind of like from the outside as well.
Exactly. And we are going to show you some references that I use while studying and learning and even applying Japanese here in Japan.
Right, because you've been there for a few years, so you kind of had to go through that whole process of basically learning Japanese to be able to live there.
So there's basically some differences that I have observed learning, studying, and applying Japanese abroad and when you arrive here in the country. And I heard that you studied Japanese yourself, Flo.
I actually did, yes. Many years ago.
Many years ago.
a long time ago.
So did you study it at a private school or how did it go?
So it is, it's some kind of institution that there is in Paris where I went. It's kind of like a university where they teach all, not all, but most of the Asian languages. But the cool thing about it is that all the teachers for each language were actually from that country.
What? That's so cool.
Right. So in that school, I had classes about history. I had classes about geography, which was kind of together. I had class for just speaking. I had a class for learning how to write the kanjis and the kanas. Like all those different classes, yeah.
That's pretty cool. So how long did you take Japanese classes?
I did it for 2 years.
2 years. And do you think it's enough?
No, it's not.
Okay, so you learned Japanese in 2 years, learning the basics, yeah?
I learned Japanese. In my experience, 2 years is not nearly enough to actually be able to pretend that you've learned Japanese. Like, I like saying, oh yeah, I went to Japanese school for 2 years because it sounds cool. And then if someone asks me, oh yeah, so something Japanese, I'm like, nope, not doing it. I'm just special. You're just gonna have to believe me. That's all.
And that's how it works. I'm going to give you another challenge because you were bragging a while ago that you won in our mini game show.
Oh no.
So I'm going to say one sentence and you're going to have to translate it in Japanese.
All right. I'll try, but like really
I
no
think you
promises on this
can.
one.
I think you can.
Okay.
Because I know you're so good. You can still remember what you learned. Okay, the sentence goes, I am French.
Okay. Watashi wa Fransujin desu.
Oh my god! You know what? I believe you now.
I just impressed even myself here. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. All right, so I'd like to share about my experience learning Japanese in the Philippines. So just like you, I also learned Japanese for 2 years. I don't know what's with 2 years, but most of the time it's usually 2 years. So I studied Japanese during college because at that time we have a special course to choose, which is number 1, photography, and the second one is foreign language. And among the foreign languages, we can choose between Spanish, French, Japanese, and Chinese. One reason why I chose Japanese is because, believe it or not, Japanese culture is quite popular in the Philippines. Well, actually, I assumed that Japanese is much easier than other languages, so Japanese, why not? So during our 2-year Japanese course, what I learned was obviously the basic hiragana and katakana, and I also learned how to write my name in both characters. And then unfortunately we didn't reach learning kanji, but we learned grammar, basic grammar. And so I did that for 2 whole years, and at that time I was like a little arrogant, like, oh, I have mastered my 2-year Japanese course. I can really speak to a Japanese now. I'm so ready.
It's funny because when I was learning Japanese, I read somewhere, and I don't know if it's true or not, or if it's just like a stereotype or a perception thing, but I read somewhere that in order to be able to read like a basic newspaper, you need to know like somewhere in the 3,000 kanji.
When I entered Japan in 2014, I was so proud and confident, and I was like, okay, now I got to the airport, and when I entered the airport, I was like, well, and then all the schedules, the plane schedules and stuff, the kanji over there, and people randomly talking in Japanese. I was like, I did not expect this. Gladly, my host family welcomed me because they knew I would get lost. And they were really so nice about that. It was completely different when I moved to the countryside, most especially because people there had no English literacy at all. I felt really like an alien. And I started with practicing how to write the months and the days.
That's funny because when I studied Japanese, that's how we started too. That was like the first kanji we learned, the days and the months.
Right. I think it's very common to learn those, right?
But for you, what was the biggest difference that you saw between learning Japanese in your own country in the Philippines and how you had to learn Japanese when you were in Japan?
All right. So when I learned Japanese in the Philippines, because my teacher was not native, her accent was Filipino. So I only learned the pronunciations of Japanese words based on how she pronounced it. But when I moved here, it was pronounced quite differently. So, and most people here speaks fast. I was located in a very remote countryside. In fact, it was located in a do-inaka. So do-inaka means very, very, very countryside.
And that's the official translation.
So what I realized learning Japanese here in the country, number 1, you need to be aware of the accent. Number 2, you need to be aware of the proper tone in that specific area. Number 3, you need to learn the culture and how to use words. And then when I started speaking in Japanese with my friends in Tokyo, they were like, you got a strange accent. And I'm like, really? But that's how my friends in Hokkaido were the way they say it. And they were like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. And I was like, is it a bad thing?
Let's go over some of the resources that you found was useful and helpful to you in your journey with learning Japanese.
Okay, so as we all know, most of us learn from books, right? One of the most recommended books I would say is the Genki. And this is one of the most, this is one of the easiest kind of foreign language, Japanese language book that you can learn as a foreigner, because there are 2 versions of this. The first version is the pure Japanese version, and the second version is the one with the romaji.
Oh, so it has the Western letters, like regular letters that we know.
Exactly. So the romaji is like the alphabet. And then if you are in a higher level, say for example, you have a background of learning Japanese, then you can do the usual version where the new words, the Japanese new words are in katakana or hiragana, and then sometimes in basic kanji. Okay, so how much is this Genki book? So you can, this is available on Amazon. Good news for everyone. It's available on Amazon, America and Canada, and probably in other parts of the world. It costs 4,000 yen or $40. That's already with the CD if you're going to use a CD. Next, we have the basic kanji book. All right, this is the red book. They have 2 volumes, but now they already have, I think, 4 volumes. And what I like about this book is that it has so many pictures that you won't get bored learning how to write in kanji, because there are pictures. I mean, who on their right minds would try to study a language without pictures? And I also use a notebook, a personalized notebook, in practicing how to read kanji. All right, so how much is this book? It's 4,000 yen, the same amount as we have on Genki. So each book costs around $40 US, and this is also available on Amazon and all parts of Amazon in the US and Canada and in Japan.
How many kanji is that per book?
So there are 500 kanjis in each book.
That's quite a few.
It's quite a few because it's basic kanji. And then the third recommendation I would say is the Everyday Japanese. I have an actual book of that, which is this one.
Can you still find it online?
Yeah, it's available on Amazon, US. I'm not sure in Canada, but it's not available in Japan. So it's by Edward Squires. Is it Squires? Edward Squires and Reiko Ezawa.
We will put some links to those books in the description below.
Right.
This is not sponsored. Okay, we're not getting anything from it if you buy those books. But if you do go buy those books because of us, you can just like let them know about it.
Next, we have from the books oh, by the way, so I haven't really bought this book, but it's available on Amazon, US and Canada. It's called Dirty Japanese, Everyday Slang. So they have it both on Kindle and paperback for $9 US. And the reason why I recommend this is not because I want you to learn how to be a rude person, but this is a good way to learn if your colleagues are actually gossiping about you.
If people around you are talking crap about you, you don't know.
Exactly. Because in this book, they will show you all the bad stuff about Japanese language. But yeah, again, just to warn you guys, please do not apply this in everyday life. Do not.
It is for information only,
Exactly.
not for use.
Information purposes only, guys. Okay, now let's go back to the super duper basics with the flashcards. So I'm such a really bad foreigner in learning Japanese that I really have to study the elementary or the baby akachan, kodomo version of learning Japanese, which is Japanese flashcards. So I'd like to show you this kanji flashcard. It's called Kumon Kanji Kado. And these are for kids, as we can see. These are for teaching kids. And these are all in Japanese, by the way. No guarantee of English versions of this. But because there are pictures, like the one we got on the game show. So we got the kanji, and if you flip it, there are the pictures for you to remember, right? And there are, well, guess what? There's some English, by the way.
It does give the translation in English.
Now, why I love these flashcards is because I can learn by looking at them, looking at the pictures, or sometimes I even ask help from Shingo. So Kumon has 3 volumes. I only got the first 2 because I'm only starting on the 2nd volume. I already mastered the first volume, which I am proud of. But yeah, these are 3 volumes, and each volume is 1,100 yen. So that's about $11, 11 US dollars.
That's actually pretty cheap.
It is. That's why I love it. Because I'm a cheapskate.
Wow. Can we order those on Amazon as well? I'm guessing stuff like that, probably.
Yes, they are available on Amazon US as well. Okay, so that's all for my flashcards. Let's go to the website. And in fact, we have mentioned this in one of our early episodes.
Yeah, that's true. We did talk about a few of those in the previous episode. We'll put a link, other side, over here.
The only website that I really recommend is another kiddie kind of Sesame Street Japanese style is Puni Puni Japan. So Puni Puni, it means squishy, Puni Puni, like that. And also available on YouTube. I actually like this because it's slow paced, you know, for a dumb foreigner like me. It's the words are very simple and they teach you elementary style. And to me, it really helps a lot. Next, we have the mobile application. Another one recommendation I would tell you is Wanikani, which was also mentioned in one of our previous episodes. The application gives you easy to remember procedures on how to remember kanji. If you're an intermediate level of Japanese and you want to practice your kanji, I would really recommend Wanikani. If you're a super beginner, but you are a very, very, very dedicated person to learn the language, I would recommend Wanikani. But if you're just the kind of person who, you know, wants to learn the kanji just because you want to look cool, I wouldn't recommend you Wanikani. Another thing that I also learned personally in learning Japanese, in learning the Japanese language, is don't just lean on books and materials. You need to learn how to apply Japanese through speaking, listening, and communicating with real Japanese people.
If you don't invest yourself into it, it's like you'll never really be part of that whole cultural experience that it is. The language itself is not everything. You have to really understand the culture that goes with it.
Right. And that's all for today, and I hope you learned something about this episode.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't hesitate to give us a like. You can share with your friends, subscribe, ring the bell. You can also find us all over social media. Thank you for watching, and we hope we will see you next one. Bye!
All right. Bye! So, okay, Flo, let's have another kanji challenge.
Oh no.
If you didn't guess this, then you are this. All right? Are you ready? Here's the kanji. What is this?
I don't think I know this one.
Oh no! So then, because you don't know this kanji, you are a pig! Buta, 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 buta! So in a Japanese, pork or pig is buta. But in Spanish, if you change it in another letter,
Oh.
never mind, guys. Bye.
Demonetized.
Wow, I can't believe you got that all correct.
I can't believe.
Because,
I can't believe I got all that correct.
oh.
The one that almost got me was the book one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because you thought it was a tree?
Because it looks like the tree.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I almost said tree because I was like.